ready? It's great to be in Yonkers this morning, and good morning, everyone. Allow me to acknowledge some of my colleagues in government. The Majority Leader, Senator Steward-Cousins, is doing a phenomenal job, in addition to all the other elected officials who are doing a fabulous job. Westchester County Executive George Latimer, one of my favorites. Deputy Westchester County Executive, my good friend Ken Jenkins, and of course, Westchester County Legislator Christopher Johnson, City of Yonkers Mayor Mike Spano, State Senator Shelley Bayer, who's doing a great job, as well as Assembly Member Nader Sage, Assembly Member Gary Pretlow, City of, there's the baby, City of Yonkers City Council President Mike Kadir, City of Yonkers City Council Member Tasha Diaz, Superintendent of the Yonkers Public Schools, Dr. Edwin Quezada, I hope I said that correctly, Yonkers Board of Education President Reverend Steve Lopez, Dr. Christopher Macaluso, and Cecilia Suniga, who are with McKinney-Vento Student Services. And of course, I want to thank the Roosevelt Hight School for allowing us to be in their beautiful auditorium, and I thank all of you for being here this morning. Nelson Mandela once said that it is not beyond our power to create a world in which all children have access to a good education. And we have long understood the power of technology, but it's been emphasized during this past year even more during this pandemic. We've learned just how integral it is to our daily lives and our ability to work, to connect, and especially to learn. And some New Yorkers were able to adapt, and they had access to computers and tablets and iPads and high-speed internet. But there are far too many of us, far too many children who unfortunately don't have this same luxury. And in this year of distance education, they struggled to keep up in school, and it became more apparent with the fault lines along economics and race. And that's not simply because of who they are, or because of a lack of focus, or because of their parents. It's simply because they lack access to a laptop. In a world of great inequality, education can be the great equalizer. But that's only if our children have access to that education. And that's why I am proud and honored to stand with my colleagues here today to announce a grant for $150,000 for the City of Yonkers Public School that will go directly towards supporting remote learning for homeless children. The funds will provide assistive technology to students. It will include iPads and laptops and Wi-Fi connectivity and more. And these aren't just gadgets for fun and games, but tools that are critical for learning and connecting, especially during this time of unprecedented public health crisis and distance learning. These funds are the result of a settlement that my office reached with Microsoft after we conducted an investigation that revealed that some New Yorkers were overtaxed for certain products that were purchased online, Xboxes to be specific. And when consumers purchased a product online, they were asked to enter their zip code as part of the billing process in order to determine the amount of sales tax they should be charged in connection with the purchase. And some postal codes, the additional 4 digits after your zip code within a certain zip code may have different tax rates. Let me say that again. Some postal codes have 4 digits within the same zip code, but they're charged different tax rates. And for instance, some areas of Bronxville and Yonkers, they share a zip code, but they have different postal codes. Again, the 4 numbers after your zip code. And in the absence of the postal code, we found that Microsoft Xbox's website was inadvertently charging some consumers who live in Bronxville the same sales tax for Yonkers, which is higher. Yonkers sales tax is 8.875%, and Bronxville is 8.38%. This led to some consumers being modestly overcharged, and we're talking about cents to a dollar, again, modestly overcharged. And so we, along with the big 5 school districts, decided the best way to account for was to pool all of the money together and put them to good use. That's one of the great things about the Office of Attorney General. We can be creative in some types of settlements. And some of the settlements go towards public good. And it enabled us to turn mere cents into $150,000. And we are presenting today to the City of Yonkers schools that will go directly towards supporting our children and their future. The children of Yonkers will have access to the tools and critical technology needed to compete in a very competitive society, and also to learn. And so I am pleased and I am honored to support this initiative. I'm pleased and honored to stand with my colleagues, and I'm most pleased to support the future of these children. And with that, I'd like to introduce the Superintendent of the Yonkers Public Schools, Dr. Edwin Calzada. And I hope I said that correctly, and if I did not, please.
Attorney General James, what an honor it is for us to have you here in the city of Yonkers, here at Roosevelt Hight School, a woman of conviction, strength, and willingness to support those in need. We really appreciate you being here, and let's put our hands together for the Attorney General. Let me say thank you to your office. You know, you have a great staff, and when they call my office to speak about the possibility of partnering together on behalf of our displaced students, our homeless students, our McKinney-Vento students, I said, get them on the phone right away. You know, and immediately we started a conversation about partnering together on behalf of the most affected children by this pandemic. And I'd like to offer some numbers. Currently, in Yonkers, we are supporting 440 McKinney-Vento students. That's a significant number. 140 of them reside in shelters. 62 of them are in transitional housing. That's very impactful. You know, in addition to that, more than 10% of those 440 students are students with IEPs, students with disabilities. So the need to provide additional services is essential to each and every one of them and to their families. And it is important to note that this number is fluid. This number changes often. So to have that additional $150,000, not to supplant the services that we are responsible to provide our young people, but rather to supplement the services. And that's what we intend to do, to supplement the support that we provide to our young people and to their families that are displaced right now or who are homeless. So we are excited to partner with you. We are extremely appreciative. It is not only about technology, but because of the support that you are providing us, we will be able to provide additional human support, social support to our young people, and that's what we intend to do. Here in Yonkers, we are so intentional at supporting our homeless students that we have an assistant superintendent that is responsible for supporting that. We just hired a McKinney-Vento program specialist. We have a social workers and we have a clerk. And together, we have a team together that are responsible for supporting their needs. And what an honor it is for us to now have the Attorney General's office as a partner in this work. So on behalf of all of our students, on behalf of our trustees, we say thank you to you, Attorney General, and we wish you well as we continue to work together on behalf of all New Yorkers. Thank you very much.
And now it's my honor and my privilege to invite a wonderful student at Roosevelt High School who has, despite some of the challenges he's faced, been so dedicated and diligent. And I am so happy that he could be with us today. And I want Mr. Lamas to know that I am no different from you. I have had my challenges as well. But I stand before you as the Attorney General of the state of New York, And so don't allow these challenges to get in your way. You can reach the sky as well. Ladies and gentlemen, my friend, Mr. George Lomas.
Hello, good morning to everybody. General Letitia, did I say it right? Letitia James, elected officials, President Reverend Lopez, and Superintendent Dr. Quesada. My name is Gregory Lamas. I am a junior at Roosevelt High School, Early College Studies, and a member of the Force football team. Go Force! 2020 was a difficult year for my family. My grandmother was diagnosed with COVID. We all lived together. So my mom, sister, and I had to move away to stay safe. Unfortunately, we had to move many times and lived in shelters. Life in a shelter was difficult. Internet access was not very good, and I was not able to connect to my school. I had a hard time keeping up with the work. I cannot follow any of my classes. I'm enrolled in the college-linked classes, and it's very challenging. I know I could have done the work if only I was able to connect online. When I was not able to access any of my live online classes, it was hard. My mom wanted me to be able to keep in touch with teachers and friends. In November 2020, my mom worked closely with our social worker, and after weeks of looking, we were finally able to move into an apartment. I cannot be any happier. Finally, I finally had my own room, a safe place to sleep, and most importantly, a chance to fully connect with my teachers and my friends online using a laptop given to me by Roosevelt High School. Having stable Wi-Fi is the best. As a student in Roosevelt, I have the opportunity to work with some of the most dedicated teachers and administrators. They have always supported and guided me in the right direction, encouraging me to join clubs and play football. I thank them. General Miss James, thank you for helping Yonkers Public School students succeed. Please accept this gift from
Thank you. I'm going to proudly have that in my office, and I thank you, and thank you for the water in particular. Let's give another round of applause. And now the incredible and the phenomenal Majority Leader of the New York State Senate, ladies and gentlemen, New York State Senate Majority Leader Andre Steward-Cousins.
It is just so incredible to be here with, she knows she's one of my sheroes, my friend, my sister, the Attorney General. And Gregory, I just want you to know that I could not do what you did until I was in my 30s. Congratulations for standing up and speaking. Just say to all my colleagues in government, thank you for the work that we continue to do, Dr. Quesada and the Reverend Lopez, and I see my assembly colleagues, Assemblyman Pretlow and Sage, and of course the chair of our Education Committee, and my good friend Shelley Mayer. and with Mayor Spano and the City Council, Letitia Diaz and Christopher, we spend so much time, and Mike Cater, we spend so much time trying to figure out how to get the resources to make sure that every child, no matter where their zip code is able to get the education that, as the Attorney General said, is the great equalizer. We cobble together, we fight, kids come up and rally, incredible teachers and you know, principals and kids, and it is so hard because somehow, you know, the priorities don't ever seem to be education in the way we know it matters. So to have an Attorney General who would have an opportunity to make a settlement, and she explained, it's Bronxville overcharged, and it's what do we do about that? She could have just given money back to Bronxville, but she didn't. What she did was sit down and figure out where is it most needed? Where would it make a real difference? And she knows that the Gregorys of the world are being so hard hit, so much more hard hit by this pandemic than so many others, that she spent the time to figure out how to make sure that Gregory and the 400 others, and in the state, 140,000 kids who are homeless have what they need to do. So what extraordinary news for us to realize that as we all work so hard in our local communities, that we have an Attorney General who's thinking about the smallest, the most vulnerable, the hardest hit. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for those kind words. And now I'd like to invite another great leader of the county, ladies and gentlemen, County Executive George Latimer.
Thank you very much, Madam Attorney General. We appreciate you being here today, and she is a regular presence all across Westchester County as well as in Yonkers, and we thank you for your leadership in so many areas of public policy. And you can't talk about leadership unless you're talking about your friends in the state legislature, Andrea Steward-Cousins, who makes us all proud to say that we know her, along with her colleagues Shelley Mayer and Gary Pretlow and Nader Sage, and the work that you have to do in Albany, which we deeply appreciate here. This is one of those examples, and there's not many of them in life, where a mistake leads to a good moment. And this is indeed a good moment. And we're very happy to see that through the creativity of the Attorney General's office and her leadership, that a mistake now turns into something that benefits the Yonkers School District. And I think all of us know this. And Andrea, Chris Johnson, growing up in an urban setting in the city, Shelley and Mike growing up in an urban setting here in Yonkers, I grew up in an urban setting in Mount Vernon. The battleground for education is in our cities, in our urban centers. And we need to make sure that we win that battle, that every young person, whatever the circumstances of their parents are, has that opportunity. We know that the path out of the COVID crisis is through the vaccinations. And in the same way, the only way that this society moves up and the Mount Vernons and the Yonkers succeed is through the path of education. So Dr. Quesada, to you and your team, we pledge our continued support at the county level. Congratulations to you and all the other young people here. And again, Madam Attorney General, creativity and hard work, we appreciate it so much. Thank you very much.
And next, another very good friend, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to invite to the podium the Mayor of Yonkers, Mr. Mike Spano.
Let me start off by saying thank you to the Attorney General for being here in Yonkers, putting us first online, especially when it comes to the funding that's so desperately needed in our district. You know, when we talk about Yonkers and we talk about, you know, with the federal stimulus money that recently came out, and it highlights the inequities that exist in these formulas and how it affects people like us here in Yonkers, how it affects Gregory, and I see Christian, my brother's keeper. It's a city that has 75% of our kids live at or below the rate of poverty. We have 440 kids that are considered homeless. We have a district that has an enormous tax burden on its residents, more than any other of the big 5 cities per capita. Actually, more than any other city, period, combined. And all of that has an effect on the quality of education that our kids can get, because you know what? They have to live in schools that have tremendous infrastructure issues, and of course, have to be in situations where our kids don't get what the kids get maybe on the other side of the tracks, or on the other side of the river. We have rivers on both sides. We have tracks on both sides. And so, I just want to say thank you, because the Attorney General is here, making Yonkers a priority. I want to say thank you to our majority leader, Andrea Steward-Cousins, who continues to make Yonkers a priority, and of course, Shelley Mayer. We finally have people in a position at the state capitol who are going to recognize this city for the efforts that we've made here and for the future that is dear to each and every one of us, certainly to our kids. So I want to say thank you. Those dollars are vitally important, and hopefully we'll continue to hear good news. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And last but certainly not least, the chair of the New York State Senate Education Committee, New York State Senator Shelley Mayer.
Thank you, Madam Attorney General. You know, as chair of the Senate Education Committee and a Yonkers resident, I know firsthand that one of the greatest challenges of COVID in the education world has been this transfer to remote learning. And it has had a disproportionate impact. It is not equally felt among all students in the state. It is felt disproportionately by those who lack a stable home, those who don't have internet access as part of their home life, those who don't have devices. And so I'm so appreciative that the Attorney General used the word creative. This small pot of money that she was able to put together from really a mistake, as the county executive said, was used for a purpose that we really need, which is to ensure that the Gregorys and other people in our community who don't have access, who are unable to see their teachers and their friends and do all the things that education requires them to do without access, that we are able to fix that. And that's so important to me, that you have chosen something that goes to the heart of the inequity in our system, and you have come up with a creative, effective way to begin to fix that. And that is the game changer for education. We need solutions, creativity, and a commitment to greater equity. You have done that, Madam Attorney General. And for us here in Yonkers and throughout the state, we're so grateful for your focus on that as the way to move forward after the pandemic. Thank you.
So this case was possible as a result of one complaint that was filed in our office. And this case was negotiated by someone who you all know, the Attorney General in charge of your Westchester office, Mr. Gary Brown. And he is under the supervision of Jill Faber. Jill, stand up. Jill is the Attorney General in charge of all of our regional offices. As you know, we have 16 regional officers from the border all the way to Suffolk County. Thank you, Ms. Faber, and thank you, Mr. Brown, for all that you do. I really appreciate it. And now we're going to do a few pictures with the ceremonial check. We are going to do them, obviously, in a way that respects space and is consistent, obviously, with protocol. And then I'll take some on-topic questions. On topic. Okay, let's present the check. Oh, thank you so much.
You're in the middle. You're that guy.
And so let's just take some on-topic questions. Yes, ma'am.
Can you just tell us a little bit more about what this complaint was, like where this resident lived, and how bad was this issue of overtaxing, how rampant was it when you started getting into this?
So let me just say the following, that we received one complaint and took action, and the sales tax per customer was extremely small, and we consulted with the conference of, as I indicated, the Big Five school districts to ask how to put the lump sum of the calculated money to good use. It was primarily, again, we're talking about cents to the dollar on each individual complaint, and it occurred over a period of time from 2017 up until the end of 2020. And so given all of the consumers that were involved, it would have been maybe 50 cents to every consumer, and so we thought it was best to pool all of the resources and provide it to the children who needed the most. Thank you. Any other questions?
And just to clarify,
Yes.
it was mostly in Bronxville versus Yonkers?
It was individuals, again, right, from Bronxville who were overcharged. I thank you all for coming.